It's okay to be awkward, and this video is really about how to be less socially awkward. A few things I want to talk about in this video. They're things like what to do when meeting somebody for the first time, how to have healthy eye contact, how to have good spatial awareness, things like appropriate and inappropriate hugs and physical contact. Yeah. How to hold a conversation, what to do when you forget somebody's name that you have met before. That's like me every time. So how to be a good listener, how to read the room, how to be more empathetic, how to not overshare, and how to embrace your awkwardness. If this is your first time tuning in, I just want to say welcome to eazyoke. We are all about helping you be the light of Jesus in our world, because we believe that his burden is light and his yoke is easy. And if you'd love to see more content like this, you know what to do. Subscribe. Let's talk about what do you do when you meet people for the first time. Don't be shy. Don't be like, oh, hi, great to meet you. Be confident. Introduce yourself. Go for the handshake. Say, hi, I'm Brody. So great to meet you. Smile. Don't force it. Usually the person who you are meeting will hopefully say something back. If they don't, that's okay. That's when you just get up and leave. You don't do that. I'm just joking. Ask them their name. What's your name? And if there's an awkward silence after that, that's fine. Just say, oh, that's such a great name. Just smile again. Say things like, tell me about yourself. What do you love doing? You know what else is really helpful? You actually say their name in conversation. So Brody, that's my name. If I was having a conversation with someone else called Brody, I would be like, Brody, tell me more about your work. Or Brody, tell me about your hobbies. Tell me what you're interested in. Tell me what you love doing when you're not working. Little things like that can be really helpful in getting to know somebody who you've never met for the first time. And obviously be genuine. Like there's nothing worse than faking that you're interested in someone when you're really disinterested. And Romans 12:10 actually says, love each other with a genuine affection. Don't just pretend to love other people. Actually love them. Okay. What about eye contact? It's really important to actually maintain good eye contact. Now, you're not checking them out like their eyes are where their eyes are, unless you're like going on a date or something. But don't even go there. Just look at their eyes. That's good dating advice too. But you got to maintain healthy eye contact, because eye contact actually shows the other person that you are actively engaged and actively listening. Don't be distracted and be looking around. I mean, I do this all the time and I'm super guilty of this. Like if I go out to a restaurant and there's like some awesome music playing, I'll just be like, I'll often tune out because I'm like listening to the music, because I'm a musician. Like I'm actually tuning into the music and I'm not really actively engaged or paying attention to the conversation. That's another important thing. Choose your surroundings, like be engaged, maintain eye contact. Next thing I want to talk about is spatial awareness. Now, this is actually really important because you don't want to be up in people's grill. You want to give them space. And I don't know if this is like a European thing or something, but when I was at Bible college back in the day, this was like 10 years ago. Oh my gosh, I'm getting old. When I used to catch up with my European friends, this one guy in particular, I'd often feel like I'd be moving backwards because he'd always be moving closer to me. And often I'd just feel like I'd be moving back into like a corner and he'd just be like towering over me because he was, super tall. I don't think he had very good spatial awareness. It just made me feel like really awkward. This guy just towering over me, like backing me into a corner. I just wanted to get the heck out of there. Just be aware of your spatial awareness. You want to leave like a good distance between the person that you're actually talking to. Let's talk about hugs now. It's really important to note that not everybody loves hugs. I know, I'm sorry, I hate hugs. I actually try to avoid hugs at all times. So if you ever see me, please don't hug me. No, it's you can hug me. I'm cool. But sometimes they are unavoidable. So I thought I'd just demonstrate how to actually give a courtesy hug if you are forced into having to give someone else a hug. I'm super uncomfortable with kissing as well. Like I would never give someone a kiss on the cheek when I greet them. Some families are big on like you kiss each other when you greet each other. I'm totally not like that. But that's okay if you are like that. I mean, I guess that's kind of biblical. Like 2 Corinthians 13:11 does say greet each other with a holy kiss. It's just something to be aware of. Not everybody loves physical contact and hugging and kissing, or maybe they do. I don't know. How do you hold a conversation? Talking about when you meet up with a friend that you know pretty well, Sometimes I get stuck on like how to hold a conversation with them. Like a really simple thing to do is, ask them how they are, but you can get a little more specific than that. You can ask them how university is going for them, or how school is going for them, or how their work is going. You can ask them how their week has been. Was there any challenging things that happened for them this week? Or was there something that was really awesome that happened? And also don't just bombard people with questions as well. Like allow time for them to actually respond to you. Because I've been in that situation before as well, where it's like I've been chatting to someone. It was like they were questioning me about everything. And that just makes me go, ooh, like it makes me shut down and not want to actually open up and talk more. Just wait for a response. You don't have to like press them with questions. Another good thing to do is like talk about something that you have in common with them. Like if you like playing a game or something, for instance, just chat to them about that. And sometimes silence is okay as well. It's part of the gift of you being present with them. Sometimes you just being there is a gift. So don't neglect having a bit of silence in the conversation too. That's actually pretty healthy. And here's a funny question. Love to know in the comments, but what do you do when you've met someone before and you can't remember their name? I think there's like two options. I think the first one is you can be totally honest and say, hey, I'm so sorry. I have the memory of a fish. I've totally forgotten your name. What was your name again? Or you could do what I often do. I can often ask my wife or somebody who knows the person that I don't know. I'll be like, hey, who's that person? What's their name again? That's a good way to do that too. So then it's not awkward when you meet them again. You can be like, you can actually say their name in conversation. It's probably not being genuine, but it's a good way to find out their name. But probably being honest would be the best way. What about how to be a good listener? It's interesting because I actually think we spend a lot of time talking and not a lot of time listening. And I do believe that God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, which maybe is meant to mean that we're meant to listen twice as much as we talk. It's actually, I don't know, it's really important to be a good listener, because to be a good listener means you're actively listening, like you're leaning into the conversation. You're not just zoning out. Like I have a tendency to often zone out and my mind wanders to other places when I'm in conversation with people, and I have to actively try to bring myself back to be in the conversation. You can practice active listening by being able to ask questions related to what the person is telling you at the time. So if someone's telling me all about their study or their university, then I can ask them questions. Oh, well, tell me more about that course that you're studying. Maybe it's graphic design. Tell me more about graphic design. Like, what are you learning in graphic design? So it's like feeding back to what the other person is actually talking to you about. That helps you to actually actively engage what they're saying, and it helps you to listen. The other things like are really important as well, like your gestures are really important, and the way you posture yourself. If you're just like you got to be actively listening, like leaning in, like engaging with your eyes, because your facial expressions actually says so much about if you're actually listening or not. Your whole expressions of like who you are in the moment, that tells a person whether or not you're actually listening to them. So be actively engaged when you're in a conversation with someone. Listen to them. How do you read the room? I think this is a real skill, and it's really important to be able to read the room, because you can really see when people are starting to disengage from the conversation. Maybe that's some of you guys watching right now. You're just like disengaged. This is like boring, whatever. But if you see people starting to actually turn off during a story or a conversation, then bring it back to them. Get them engaged in the conversation. The other thing you can start to do is just start to wrap it up. Maybe your story doesn't need to be like half an hour. Maybe you could tell your story within like 2 minutes and just move the conversation on. Another thing that I think is really important is how to be more empathetic. And I think I'll do another video on this later that goes into more detail. But this is really simply like putting yourself in other people's shoes. And Jesus modeled empathy for us. Like I just think of John 11:33-35. It's like when Jesus goes and raises Lazarus from the dead. It says Jesus wept. He shows empathy in that moment. Like he feels like for the people that he is ministering to. He felt what others were going through, and that moved him with compassion. It ended up with him healing like many people because he was moved by compassion. He knew what they were going through, and there was an empathy that he had for people. And I think often, especially in our culture today, we can dismiss people or become super judgy, and we often don't even put ourselves in their shoes, and we don't see things from their perspectives. It's actually really important to understand where people are coming from, because we have to, in a sense, come down to their level and allow ourselves to feel what they are feeling. And it really is, I think in my opinion, about meeting people where they are at. And I do think it's becoming increasingly rare to find people who are able to actually feel and have empathy with other people in today's world. I think that's a big thing that we're missing. Following on from empathy, I think it's also important to not overshare. Like, we all go through stuff, but the thing is, you don't want every single person in your life to know everything you are struggling with here and now. Like, you want to have a handful of close, trusted friends that you can actually share really deeply with, because you can trust them and you know that they'll understand you and genuinely care for you. Because some people, like when you share your life story with, or you share some really deep stuff with, they don't even really care. They have zero cares and they have no empathy, and it's like you've just wasted your time and you just feel like they don't care. It's not always helpful to share every part of your life with every single person. I think the classic example of this is like marriage. Like, I'm married to my wife and we share stuff together that is like really special to us, that nobody else gets to share that. It's this thing called, intimacy. But I'm obviously not going to share every part of my life with every single person that I meet. And of course I have deep friends, etc. But yeah, I think you know what I mean. This is the final point. Just embrace your awkwardness. It's fine. We all have flaws and imperfections, and everyone's broken to some degree. So don't worry too much if you actually come across as a little bit awkward, because I think I'm super awkward. So don't worry. No one ever knows 100% of the time what to say. Everyone is awkward, even if they don't think so. Thanks so much for hanging out at eazyoke. In our next video, we're going to be talking about why I'm still a Christian after 20 years. Yeah, I feel kind of old. I'm in my 30s now. Don't forget, you can check us out at www.eazyoke.com. And you can also check us out on our socials. We'd love to connect with you, message us, comment. We'd love to be in touch with you. We'll see you on the next one.